Hey there, welcome to Twists and Tales. Today, I've got 3 fascinating stories that will keep you hooked. So sit back, relax, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. Let's dive in. I had been dating Emma for almost 3 years. We met in college, and I truly believed she was the one. We had our ups and downs like any couple, but I never doubted her loyalty. Everything seemed fine, until I started noticing small things. She began being distant, spending more time on her phone, and always laughing at messages from someone she refused to show me. I brushed it off at first. Maybe she was just busy. Maybe it was work stress. But deep down, I knew something was wrong. Then, one evening, I got my first real clue. We were sitting on the couch, and her phone lit up with a message. I didn't mean to look, but my eyes caught the name, Mark. Mark was my coworker, a guy I saw every single day at work. He was friendly, always cracking jokes, and I never thought twice about him. But now, my gut told me something wasn't right. Curiosity got the best of me. That night, while Emma was in the shower, I checked her phone. She had changed her password. She had never done that before. The next day, I decided to test her. I casually mentioned Mark in conversation, just to see her reaction. She froze for half a second, barely noticeable, but I caught it. Then she laughed and changed the subject. That was it. I knew I had to find out the truth. I asked a friend for help. He was good with tech and suggested a simple trick. He showed me how to check if her location history was saved on Google Maps. And there it was. Proof. Emma had been at Mark's apartment multiple times when she told me she was at work. My heart sank. I didn't confront her right away. Instead, I planned something. I told her I had to stay late at work one evening and left the apartment, but I never went to the office. I drove to Mark's place and waited. An hour later, she arrived. I watched as she walked in without hesitation. No second thoughts, no guilt. I didn't need to see more. I left. The next morning, I acted normal. I kissed her goodbye, told her I loved her. But I already had a plan. I printed out the screenshots of her location history and placed them in an envelope. That evening, I cooked dinner, set the table, just like nothing was wrong. When she sat down, I slid the envelope across the table. "What's this?" she asked, smiling. "Open it," I said. Her face turned pale as she pulled out the papers. "You went to Mark's," I said, "over and over again, while I was at work, while you told me you were busy." She stuttered, tried to make excuses, but I didn't care anymore. I stood up, grabbed my keys, and walked to the door. "You made your choice, Emma," I said. "Now I'm making mine." And just like that, I left. She tried calling me for days, begged me to talk, but I never answered. Mark, he acted like nothing happened at work. I quit a month later. I deserved better than both of them. And now, looking back, I'm glad it happened, because now I know my worth. I always thought my relationship with Sarah was perfect. We had been together for 3 years, and I truly believed she was the love of my life. She was kind, funny, and made me feel like the luckiest guy in the world. But as they say, love makes you blind. Looking back, there were signs, small things I ignored, convincing myself that I was just overthinking. Sarah started spending more time on her phone, always smiling at messages, but never letting me see them. She would turn the screen away when I walked into the room, something she never did before. I remember laughing it off, thinking maybe she was planning a surprise for me. Then, her schedule changed. She suddenly had late work meetings, last-minute plans with friends I had never heard of, and nights when she wouldn't answer my calls until hours later. I trusted her, so I didn't push. But deep down, something felt off. Then one night, everything changed. I had just finished a late shift at work, exhausted, ready to go home and crash. My phone buzzed. It was a message from an unknown number. "You should check out the bar on 5th Street. Your girl is here, and she's not alone." My heart dropped. I stared at the screen, my mind racing. At first, I thought it was a prank, maybe a wrong number, but then I felt it. That gut-wrenching instinct telling me that this was real. I jumped in my car and drove straight to the bar. My hands were shaking on the steering wheel. 100 thoughts ran through my head. What if it's a misunderstanding? What if she's really just with friends? What if she's not? I walked in, my pulse pounding. The bar was dimly lit, crowded, loud. And then I saw her, Sarah, sitting at a small corner table, leaning in close, laughing, touching the arm of another man. But it wasn't just any man. It was Jake, my co-worker, the same guy I had lunch with every day, the guy I invited to my house, the guy I trusted. I felt sick. My whole world shattered in that moment. But instead of storming in, I pulled out my phone and recorded a short video. I needed proof. I needed to see it with my own eyes. I watched as they whispered to each other, her hand brushing over his. Then he leaned in. Their faces were inches apart. That was it. I had seen enough. I walked up to the table, my body tense. Sarah's face went pale the moment she saw me. Jake looked up, frozen. "What the hell is this?" I asked, my voice shaking. Sarah opened her mouth, then closed it, her mind scrambling for an excuse. But the look in her eyes said it all. Jake had the audacity to stand up and say, "Dude, it's not what it looks like." I laughed, a bitter, hollow laugh. "Not what it looks like?" I repeated. "So you weren't about to kiss my girlfriend?" Silence. I turned to Sarah. "How long?" She looked away. That was all the answer I needed. I felt a mix of anger, pain, and disbelief. I wanted to scream, to break something, but instead, I just stood there, staring at the woman I thought I knew. Without another word, I turned around and walked out. Sarah called after me, but I didn't stop. That night, I packed my things and moved out of our apartment. She called, she texted, she even showed up at my door. I ignored her. The worst part? The next day at work, Jake acted like nothing happened. He walked in, laughing, joking, like we were still friends. That's when I decided to expose them. I posted the video online, along with a simple message: never trust the ones closest to you. It went viral. Hundreds of people commented, sharing their own betrayal stories. Some said, "I did the right thing." Others said, "I should have just walked away." But in the end, I got the closure I needed. If you ever feel like something is off in your relationship, trust your gut. I ignored the signs for too long, but not anymore. I never thought I'd be telling this story. He was my best friend, the kind of friend you never question, the kind you trust with your deepest secrets. His name was Jake, and we had been inseparable since high school. Late night calls, deep conversations, helping each other through heartbreaks. We had each other's backs no matter what. I trusted him with my life. But trust is a dangerous thing. It all started when I met the girl of my dreams. Let's call her Emily. She was perfect, smart, funny, beautiful. The kind of girl you never believe would actually be interested in you. But somehow, she was. I felt like the luckiest guy alive. Jake was happy for me, or at least, that's what I thought. At first, nothing seemed wrong. We all hung out together, laughing, joking. But then, I started noticing little things. Jake was always around Emily even when I wasn't. He'd text her at odd hours, always had something funny to say, something to make her laugh. I ignored it. I told myself, it's just friendly. Then came the night that changed everything. I was at home, watching a movie, when I got a message from a friend. "Dude, is Emily with Jake right now?" I frowned. "Why?" My friend sent a photo, a blurry shot taken from a distance. It showed Emily sitting at a restaurant, holding someone's hand. The hand wasn't mine. I told myself it had to be a mistake, but deep down, I already knew. I clicked on the next photo, a wider shot, and then my heart stopped. It was Jake, my best friend, holding my girlfriend's hand. My stomach turned. A million thoughts raced through my mind. Maybe there was an explanation. Maybe I was overreacting. Maybe, but I wasn't. I called Emily. No answer. I called Jake. Straight to voicemail. I texted them both. Nothing. I barely slept that night. The next morning, I went straight to Jake's house. My hands were shaking as I knocked on his door. When he opened it, his face turned pale. "Hey man, are you seeing Emily behind my back?" I cut him off. He hesitated. "Look, I didn't mean for this to happen." My blood went cold. "You didn't mean for it to happen?" I repeated. "Are you serious right now?" He sighed, rubbing his face. It just happened. I felt like I had been punched in the gut. "How long?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "A few weeks." A few weeks. That meant while I was still dating Emily, while I was still telling Jake about how much I loved her, while he was looking me in the eye and acting like my best friend. Emily showed up later that day, trying to explain, trying to apologize. She said it was a mistake, that she never meant to hurt me, that she still cared about me. But I didn't care anymore. If she wanted Jake, she could have him. They deserved each other. I walked away, leaving them both behind. For weeks, I felt like a ghost, drifting through life without purpose. I kept replaying everything in my head, wondering how I could have been so blind. But then, something happened. One day, a mutual friend sent me a message. "Dude, you're not gonna believe this." Attached was a screenshot. Emily and Jake had broken up. Turns out, the same way she had cheated on me with him, she had cheated on him with someone else. Karma is a funny thing, but by then, I didn't even care, because I had already learned the most important lesson of my life. Betrayal doesn't define you. It defines the people who betray you. And sometimes, losing a fake friend is better than keeping one.